Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to another Nerd Nation stream. This is our Star Trek stream. We're talking Star Trek Lower. Sorry, I apologize. Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 1. Happened the other day, yesterday, I believe, when it was released. And we want to talk about it because we love Star Trek. And I'm with my fellow compadres. I got here the brothers Grimm, cousin Cheeto, and Boogeyman 2132. Welcome to the Star Trek Discovery discussion, mate.
The
Mates.
highly illogical podcast.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that. I apologize. The highly illogical podcast. Yes, that's it. The highly illogical podcast. I must remember this name. Okay. So Star Trek Discovery Season 3 Episode 1 has it's been 18 months since the end of Season 2, and if we remember, the only way the universe is going to be saved is for Michael Burnham to be shot into the future by about 1,000 years. And I just want to quickly make people understand that there's a very early scene. I'm jumping ahead a tiny bit, where Michael Burnham ends up on this planet, and she goes, "Yes!" like that when she finds out that the civilization. Because it's been 18 months, a lot of people don't realize that yes means that what she did by jumping into the future did work, saved the fucking universe, and because there's still people alive in the future. That's why she said yes. But the show began with her coming through the fucking wormhole. You got Booker T in his fucking spaceship, being all Han Solo and shit, flying around, being chased by motherfuckers. And they hit each other and they all end up on that fucking planet. It was a really cool start, by the way. Really interesting start to the show. How did you guys like the start of the show? I'll start with you, Boogeyman.
Oh, I've loved every minute of this show. Every minute of this episode.
Yeah. But the start of it, like when it began with her fucking coming out of a fucking asshole in space. How did you find that?
Honestly, I don't think they could have done it any better. I mean, it's
brilliant.
Going, 980 years in the future, I believe? Either 930 or
931.
Into the future. I mean, it's kind of a way to expect to come out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I did like the fact that, as soon as she landed on the fucking planet, Red Angel, get the fuck out of here. She used it to fucking seal up the wormhole. So that Red Angel shit is done. It's done. It's over. And I'm so fucking happy. Yeah, because it was only meant for Season 2. I'm glad it didn't carry over.
She didn't use it to seal the wormhole.
What did she do with it then?
She sent it back in time to light the final flare.
The final beacon, and then she set it to self-destruct so that nobody could use it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough. All right, that's a nice way of putting it. So, Bob, what do you think of the beginning of the show?
I thought it was great. For the first time ever in this show, period, I did not cringe at Michael Burnham.
I
cringe,
but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. I mean, at the beginning of the episode, at least at the beginning of the episode, I didn't cringe. I mean, she was not like this Vulcan wannabe. Like, I get it, what they were going for in the first 2 seasons, but I mean, she definitely was. They were trying to, and this episode, they really kind of departed her from the Mary Sue aspect of things. I mean, she was really kind of all over the place, which is good to see that she's all over the place. She's not always got it together. So I don't know, but the beginning of the episode, I thought they did a great job. It was a good introduction into the 30th century, 31st century, one of the two.
It hasn't registered yet. It needs a few more episodes.
Well, it was like 31 something. So if it's 31 something, it's the 30th. No, the 32nd century, because it's 100 years ahead, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's just under 1,000 years ahead. 931 years from Season 2.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, then technically it's the 32nd century, I believe.
Oh, so, yeah, because they're in like the 24th century.
They were in 31. They said the year. They said 31 something.
Okay, fine.
31 something. They said it in there. So anyway, yeah, I thought this was pretty good. I mean, her flying out of the wormhole and hitting Booker T's ship, and them crash landing, and I mean their exchanges were pretty entertaining, I thought, for the most part, I guess. But I'll let you take it from there.
Manchester Black. He still feels like Manchester Black.
You know what? But I loved him as Manchester Black, so I'm okay with it. We only got one season on Supergirl Manchester Black. I wanted more.
Yeah. Oh, he's a British actor, David Ajala. I looked into him a little bit more because he seems to be popping up in more things now, and I guess we might see him soon. He might be the next Idris Elba. Who knows? But
Ooh.
he could
He
be.
could be the next James Bond.
Who knows? He's definitely got the fucking look and physique for it. You know what I mean? You know, he's very. I'm sure he can put on. Being a British person, I'm sure he could. And he sounds like he can do a decent American accent. Very briefly, he did it in this first episode. So I'm sure he could easily do a posh, upper class British
He
accent.
can do anything
if he
because
needs
he's
to.
British.
Or British actors are the best ones at playing Americans, as you know. So I mean, we're Superman, we're Batman, we're fucking Spider Man, we're all the fucking major ones. So anyways, so they Michael and Booker T, they meet each other. And by the way, his name is Book, but I'm just saying calling him Booker T because I want to fucking call him Booker T. And they meet each other and they have a little fight as first because Book thinks she's fucking trying to rob him because that's the sort of, he's a fucking Han Solo type. And I have to say, this episode felt way more like Star Wars at times than Star Trek with a lot of the shit they were doing. With the fucking teleporting and stuff, it reminded me a little bit of Rise of Skywalker with the fucking hyper jumps and shit. And those, and remember, and a little bit, but it had that sort of Star Wars vibe about it, you know, like.
I see where you're coming from with the Star Wars vibe, with like the marketplace and everything like that. I mean,
and the Han Solo type in Book, he's very Han Solo, man, you know. And,
which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with Trek having a Han Solo type character.
I'm fine with it too, but you can't help but no. And by the way, I'm not saying this negatively because you know they both used each other at time. Both Star Trek and Star Wars have used each other for inspiration, and you know I have no problem with it. But you can't help but notice these comparisons, nevertheless.
Okay.
Sorry, you're going. I thought you got any more to say?
I mean, no. I mean, go ahead and continue with the episode. I've got plenty to say, but I figure we'll get to it eventually.
Okay, fine. So we've already got introduced to Book. What do you guys think of Book so far? Or do you want to talk about him a little bit later?
I can talk about him now.
I'll start with you, then, Boogie Man. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to say about Book?
I think he's going to be a. Hold on. Sorry. I think he's going to be a good add to the show. Like, I think he's going to bring out some more aspects into the show that maybe were lacking in the first two seasons. But ultimately, I feel good about it.
What about yourself, Bob?
Oh, I really like him. I mean, I see your comparison to Han Solo and everything like that, but I mean, he seems a little bit less cool, if you know what I mean, like to be considered a Han Solo. Like he's definitely like he's an environmentalist. It seems like he's got, I don't know what those powers are.
These sort of powers, yeah, but I'm sure they'll be explained further down the road.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he's, you know, I don't know.
He's human, isn't he?
I don't know if he's human. They never said that, I don't think. Did he ever say he was human? I don't remember that.
He comes across as human. I mean,
nothing's been said about if he is or is not human.
But I mean, I like him. I think Boogeyman's right. I think he's going to be a great addition to the cast. I think he's going to be kind of that that counterbalance, and I think it fits the tone of the show right now. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying that Star Trek is too actiony, and you know, in the time frame that Discovery was in, like the pre-Kirk, and I agree. However, I feel like in this era where the Federation is gone, and we're going to get into all that, but like I feel like Book and kind of the action set pieces and stuff like that, I feel like that is good for if this is what Discovery is going to be. I am 100% on board, and I will explain why later when we get to it.
I'm a bit, I've been thinking a little bit that this might be Enterprise 2.0. Have you ever thought about that? Like the way,
Oh
like,
yeah, I said that last
you know,
night and when I messaged you.
oh really? Sorry, maybe that's where I got the idea from, subconsciously from yourself.
Might
Um,
have been.
but yeah, so with like being 1,000 years in the future, there's a whole fucking new ground to go along, and the fact that our technology has advanced so much that they can portray that as future tech with a future Star Trek. Because when you look at some of the previous Star Treks with our technology when they were made at that particular time, you can see how fucking dated they are, regarding the tech. So maybe this is a birth of a new Star Trek, and see how that branches out. And I'll be interested to see if they could be successful with this. But it's a long road. No pun intended. Go on.
Getting from there to here. No, but that's actually the point that I was going to make later was, the thing I like about this show is that it's very Enterprise-esque, but they're doing a sequel series, not a prequel series. So it's more like, instead of the birth of the Federation like Enterprise was supposed to be, it's the rebirth of the Federation, and I'm 100% on board for that. That's my biggest takeaway from this, is that at the end of the episode, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but like you have two commissioned Federation officers, and that's where it begins. Like I don't consider Book a commissioned Federation officer, but like those, go ahead.
Yet.
I said yet.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, but and as I said, I mean, I look forward to seeing them. If this is what they're going for, they're rebuilding the Federation from that moment forward in this season. I am 100% on board with it. I know that next episode they got to find Discovery, and Discovery's got to meet up with Michael and all that. I mean, we're going to get all that, but I mean, like, for the overall of the season, I think it's going to be good.
Just want to get this bit of expedition out of the way because it's very important regarding this particular episode. So we find out that the fucking whole Federation is dissolved because of a lack of dilithium. I have to admit, out of all the things, I thought we could have caused this tragic event. It was kind of surprising.
Well, and I think what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is they're going to find out that something happened, because they said just one day all of the dilithium destabilized and blew up. So I mean, like, and then they
still need dilithium, but dilithium is still around. I don't get it. It's still around, but it's rare now. I don't get it. Or am I missing something here? Go on, Chris. You got something to say?
Well, you were talking about that the Federation, they never officially said that's what happened. It was something that Book said, and she didn't believe that the Federation destabilized just from the lack of dilithium, that it was bigger than just dilithium.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
thinking. I think reading into it like that, I think maybe going outside the bounds of what they're trying to portray, because we don't know. Because so far it's been the burn. The burn is all that has actually been really brought up.
You know what it was? It was Q.
Yeah.
Q got mad.
Now, look, I want to talk about the marketplace and stuff like that, but this is what concerned me. This thing is called the burn. We got Michael Burnham. Yeah, I was immediately thinking, shit, are these things correlated in any respect? Because Michael Burnham, even though she might not be Mary Sue, she is still portrayed as some sort of Jesus figure by the end of this fucking episode, yeah? To a minor degree, in the fact that, this guy, the guy we see at the end, is, his faith has been restored a little bit by seeing Michael Burnham, a person who's a member of the Federation, and he's been waiting for years for somebody like that to come along. But I want to get to that a little bit later. We get into the fucking marketplace now because she's got her fucking antiques, which are top-notch antiques, by the way. But she's got her fucking antiques, which are basically all her Federation equipment, which are obsolete in this day and age. And she's gonna hope to sell that shit for some money, maybe for some dilithium, so she can get off the fucking planet and find some Federation people or some shit like that. She's trusting in Book. Because they need each other, or she definitely needs him more than he needs her, that's for sure. So she gets double crossed by Book, and next thing you know, she finds Book because she's been drugged. That was the drug scene that kind of I found a little bit cringy. It didn't necessarily work for me. No, you got yourself on mute, Bob. Yeah,
that was fantastic.
Look, it's all good. It's all good, but it came a bit left field. But it was weird how it worked, like how it did. But fair enough.
The burn is when the galaxy took a hard left. The Burnham in season 3 is when Star Trek took a hard left. I thought it was great. I don't know. I just was like, this is normally like if it was just any other character, like if it was Tindy or not Tindy, she's from Lower Decks. What was her name? Oh, what was her name? The red-haired girl. If it was her, I think it would have been, huh?
Kaylee? Is it Kaylee?
Is it Kaylee? I think it is.
Oh, Haley, maybe.
I think Haley's from Firefly. Anyway, maybe Kaylee's from Firefly. I don't remember. But I feel like if it was that girl, or if it was like, the chief engineer, which I can't remember his name either. I forget all these guys' names.
It's been 18 months.
Yeah, I know. But if it was any of them, I kind of feel like it would have been cringy. But because it was Michael and just the actress, now the actress was definitely showing her chops, as in like going like transitioning from one way of a character to another. I enjoyed it a lot.
How about yourself, Chris?
I mean, he kind of hit the nail on the head. It's showing this completely opposite side of like Burnham, like not being logical.
I hate logical Burnham. I think she's not very Vulcan.
Fair enough. Before we get we get to what happens afterwards, we did also see Orions and Andorians as well. So they're part of the future, and they've teamed up. Which
I think is perfect.
Michael Burnham was totally perplexed by that.
Well, I mean, green and blue look good together. So I mean,
And you don't often see Orion men, so it was a bit weird seeing that geezer. He looked like a small version of the Hulk. Like a small.
I mean, you saw a bunch of guy Orions and.
Yeah, but it's always the slave girls, man. It's always the slave
those
girls.
Are the memorable ones.
Yeah, they're always the memorable ones, man. Even Tindy on Lower Decks, man. So, but nevertheless, they interrogate her, and then it leads them to Book. Book's being held hostage, but at the same being held up, but at the same time, even though she's got Book captured as well, she still needs Book. So they end up fighting, and they grab these giant fucking blow dryers, which look like laser guns.
They reminded me of the Eye from what's that movie called?
Lord of the Rings?
No.
Oh, A Space Odyssey, 2001.
Yeah, Space Odyssey.
Oh, Hal.
Good morning,
Hal.
Dave.
Lots of
That's exact. When we get into them, I really want to like discuss those real quick.
You're telling me that in 30, those guns can't automatically target. You can still dodge bullets in 30-31. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus Christ, come on, man. Those guns didn't like the look of them, but the set piece that happened after that was great because they got these in this world. You can have these instant teleporters, which have a cooldown of 30 seconds. Felt like a fucking video game. So they escape, but
that was longer than 30 seconds for it to charge.
30 seconds can feel like a lifetime when you're in a gunfight, mate. You know what I mean?
I'm going to go back to time it.
Nevertheless, they get chased around a lot, and it reminded me also of that movie Looper.
Oh, Looper.
No, not Looper. Sorry, Jumper. Jumper. Yeah,
Jumper
with Hayden Christensen.
Anakin Skywalker. Yeah.
Yes, and so it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. It was a really cool set piece, and I like the way how they finally escape by jumping off a cliff and then landing in water. Really clever way of making it simple for us common folk to understand how they escaped, and I like it. And then we get some more expedition. I think this is when she finds out regarding the dilithium and shit like that, I believe. And they go back to the ship, and that's when they come across this space slug. Space slug.
No, the space slug was one of his cargo, and I think they were.
Yeah, I know.
He was rescuing it, but
yeah, he was rescuing it.
Yeah,
and then then they went all Raiders of the Lost Ark because the people they basically kind of trying to bargain with their lives a little bit, and so they show them the cargo, and then and this space slug will fucking eat, it will hypnotize you and kill you. So Book tells fucking Michael Burnham to close her eyes, and I'm not sure if any of you guys got Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes from that moment. No.
Yeah, I did. But then I mean, then
Yeah.
it ate her. It like tried to eat her anyway. It was great.
Then I instantly thought Men in Black. You know, when that, because I knew she was gonna fucking live. I knew,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Michael
so
Burnham.
I wasn't concerned. So I just knew that somehow she's gonna come out outside the front or outside the back or outside the side. You know what I mean, by blowing her way out. You know, but nevertheless, she was gonna get out somehow. And or maybe even transported out. Who knows? But yeah, I knew she was gonna fucking survive. It was all an excellent scene, and I believe we get to the conclusion now of the episode where Book does know somebody who might be able to help Michael Burnham regarding all this Starfleet shit. You know, so to keep her up to, to get up to speed of what's happened to Starfleet in this day and age, because he's already informed her that Starfleet hasn't existed for about 150 years. So they come across this Asian dude this Indian dude who basically wakes up every day and uses a sonic toothbrush to clean his fucking teeth. Everything comes up and down. Like, I've seen that style in other films, but it's usually like a holographic display. But these holographic displays are solid, and they can go up and down and shit like that. It looks very cool, very futuristic. He has a fucking holographic canary bird that wakes him up every morning, that changes color every day, which is pretty cool. I want one of those. And this guy is one of the last remnants of the Federation. So much so, the last remnants, that he's not even a Federation officer himself. He's he's a relative of a Federation officer, but he believes in the core value.
I think.
No, he's the son of a Federation officer. His father and his grandfather were Federation officers. He himself wasn't, though. He never got a chance to become one because of what happened, because the Federation's been over for a while.
Yeah.
It shows you that human beings live a lot longer in this day and age as well, because it's been gone for like over 150 years. And then this guy, I forget his name. I know his name will eventually come to us once he becomes more of a memorable character. But this person's been hoping and waiting for somebody from the Federation to meet him. There are a couple of Federation ships he knows about, but there's no actual Federation. And plus, they're in a sector of space. He doesn't know what's happening to a lot of other parts of space. So there might be Federation ships in other parts of space, but he's secluded only to a sector of it. And then he sees Michael Burnham walk through the fucking door, and he's lifted, and finds out that there's a chance for the Federation to start again. But he also informs Michael Burnham that even though you came through the wormhole, it might be different for Discovery, as they were also coming through the wormhole. They might come the next day, or they might come in the fucking 1,000 years.
Well, if you remember, I mean, they kind of follow the Kelvin timeline, the Kelvin movies way of thinking, is because even Spock said in those movies that, Spock went through the wormhole first, so he came through 30 years before, or was it? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Nero went through the wormhole first, so I think Nero came out of the wormhole 30 years before Spock did.
Yeah.
And then Spock came out 30 years later. I think that's how it worked.
Chris, have you ever watched Red Dwarf?
Oh no.
Red Dwarf.
Have you watched Red Dwarf, Bobby?
I've seen parts of it. I haven't watched it.
Star Trek copied Red Dwarf on this one, because Rimmer, the holographic life form, who's a fucking coward. He knows that the spaceship they're on, which they're like looking for, they're scavenging for parts, is about to be destroyed. So he jumps into a fucking escape pod and fucks off, but the rest of the crew also escape as well. And then he goes through a wormhole, and he goes through it first, and Red Dwarf is going to come up and save him, but by the time they get to him, it's 500 fucking years later, and because he's a holographic life form, he's always going to be alive. So he's waited 500 years for him to rescue him. It was fucking brilliant. But yeah, this is where Star Trek got, in my opinion, this idea from Red Dwarf, and it's a great idea. And the episode ends and you see. Oh, by the way, what do you guys think of all of that? All of that. I'll start with you, Chris. Meeting this guy, this Indian dude, all that shit.
I think it's a good character introduction. I have a feeling he's going to become more prominent in the show. In reforging, finding Discovery, remaking the Starfleet. It's just going to be. It'll be interesting to see how they play him in there.
Well, and we also have to remember that Starfleet and the Federation are technically two different things. So, I mean, they're looking at the Federation. So it depends on if they consider those one and the same in this season. Like, I was kind of wondering that, like, when they were talking about the Federation, but I'm like, well, the Federation is like the conglomerate of all these races. Yeah. But are you talking about Starfleet, where you're gathering like a exploration / military militia, or are you talking about like the Federation, where they're unifying races? And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit of both. So I mean, I'm if they go the right way, in my opinion, it'll be a little bit of both. Like they'll try to build up some ships and they'll try to unify some races. Maybe
They'll need some dilithium first, or find a.
I think they have Slipstream, which is not dilithium based. So I mean,
but the Romulans use a Slipstream.
Well, no, because he said during the episode about the Slipstream that nobody can find the barium ore.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you mentioned something like that, because it must have gone past me. But people are still traveling around space. So I was
about to say, what was he using? I thought he was using Slipstream when he was traveling to the Federation or back to the Sanctuary planet.
Nope. Because if you remember when they were fighting in the trade hub, or whatever you want to call it, she had taken a bunch of dilithium crystals.
Well, okay, so that was warp then. I mean,
that was warp. Yeah, no. So Slipstream, and it's like I even just watched the Voyager episode about about Slipstream, where they tried to go back and which was kind of ironic, because I watched this that day, and then that night when I'm sitting there watching my Voyager playthrough again, that episode comes up, and I was like, oh, this is too perfect.
And they reference something from both episodes, by the way. There's something referenced from that Slipstream episode, which was mentioned.
The barium ore.
Yeah. That was it. Sorry,
which is so in Voyager, they couldn't reuse the Slipstream because it would take years to reproduce. It would take years to reproduce the barium ore. So it makes sense that in the future that there's no source of barium ore, because it takes either so long to make, or it just doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I also feel that Star Trek is taking leaves from the Dune book, where people were only able to travel throughout the universe by using the spice melange, which only came from one planet. And
I'm surprised they don't have like transwarp gates by now. You know what I mean? Like, I know the Borg have them at this point, like in the present timeline. But it's like, I'm surprised that they, after 900 and some odd years, that they don't have at least transwarp gates.
No, yeah, they've got portable transporters.
Yeah, well, but those only go so far. I mean, I think those.
Go ahead.
I was just say, I mean, those. If you think about it, aren't all transporters technically portable? I mean, I get it, like they can hit it, because at the end of Nemesis, they used a portable transporter on Picard to get him off of Shinzon's ship.
As long as you have a transporter, you can transport somebody from any spot to any spot. You don't have to be in the transporter room. But I guess, the reason why they have a transporter room is so when people are getting transported, there's a dedicated space for that, as well as obviously going by protocol and meeting people, as well as cargo and all that shit, and going on for yourself, so people can record where you transported from. So that's why, yeah.
It's the power requirements. It's always like it's referenced through several of the different
buffer too.
Yeah, see, it's referenced through several of the different series between Enterprise and it was really referenced in Enterprise, and then a little bit in season 1 of Discovery, that it's the power requirements which cause them to be so big, and then as they figure out new ways to power it, to shrink the power requirements, obviously the technology can become smaller. So it makes sense that 1,000 years in the future that they have figured out a way to produce the power that's needed for a personal personal transporter. Even considering, especially that they had started using them in Nemesis, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were the portable
Data had
transporters.
it. He had the first prototype.
Was that a prototype? I don't. It's
Yeah.
been so long since I've watched.
It was a prototype. He said it. It was a prototype, early model.
But it was like like this little thing, and it just kind of like opened up with the little red dot, and then it
But even then, like it was for a short space. It was not, like when they did finally use it, it was only going from one ship to another, which was in close proximity to each other.
Which
so close that they rammed each other earlier. So
yeah,
that's
right.
how close they were. Yeah. So that was basically Star Trek Episode 1. Star Trek Discovery Episode 1. We got an optimistic look for the future, and we found out that Michael might not be able to meet her colleagues for a little while. But did you guys see the trailer for Episode 2?
Well, that was the trailer for the whole season. That wasn't episode.
Okay, fine. All right, fair enough. But from what I gather, it looks like she's going to be waiting a few years because her hair's grown and stuff like that before Discovery.
I think in one of the trailers she said that she was waiting a year for them to show up. Now I don't know if they had shown up at that point or if that's when she's making the log.
There wasn't a reference to how long.
No, there was in one of the trailers. It said she'd been waiting a year for Discovery to show up. It was one of the trailers before the show came out, but I remember.
Oh,
that.
I gotcha. Okay, I was about to say
not the one
after.
No, not that one.
And I guess having a Discovery show up will make some considerable changes to how the Federation progresses. But does it crash the Discovery? Did we see it crash at all?
Yeah, it does crash. Go ahead, Boogeyman.
I was going to say the same thing, that it does crash.
Oh. One of my questions is like, it looks like the Discovery is involved in fight, like in space battle. How does the ship not get obliterated by 32nd century technology? Like, it looks like they get shot and like their shields hold. I'm like, shouldn't the technology of that era just peel through their stuff, their shields and their armor and everything? Like,
make a good argument, yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, it's still, who knows? Maybe their weapons are tamed down. Maybe they got the Dollar Tree version of photons, and they just don't work very well.
I just also want to mention earlier that we saw Book do some sort of spiritual shit where his head turned red for a little bit, and he was able to communicate with the fucking slug alien, and
the planet.
And yeah, and then they went to the planet, and it became a bit eco-warriorish at the end with him delivering the slug aliens to this planet, and all these people clapping their hands at it like it's a sort of fucking SEAL show. But the point is, what's all that about? This fucking redhead shit, alien. I mean, is he an alien? Is he a human? Has he inherited powers? Is he half alien, half human?
He is a descendant of Chakotay. That is his spirit animal.
If he was, that would be fucking brilliant. But
he's got the tattoo. You just can't see it,
Well, you can only see it when he's praying.
Yeah, right. It just shows up when he's praying. It's got the Chakotay tattoo. If you turn it on its side.
What do you guys think of all of that? Did it remind you at all of the Kanto bite scene from fucking Last Jedi? I'm only thinking of it now.
No.
I'm only thinking of it now. I never thought of it at all while watching
Honestly,
it.
It reminded me of Android 17 from Dragon Ball Super, because Android 17 in Dragon Ball Super became a park ranger, and there's a whole episode of Dragon Ball Super dedicated to Goku going and talking to 17, and they're like on like a reservation or whatever, and they're fighting off poachers. That's what that reminded me of.
God, I can vaguely remember shit like that. Yeah,
what?
Agent 17 was a robot, wasn't he?
Android 8.
Yeah. Of course,
yeah,
Android 17. Yeah.
No, that was in Dragon Ball Super, not in Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, he was. Dragon Ball Super came out a couple years ago, and it was running until about last year or something like that. And it's
remember is that punch he takes in the belly, and you think he's been punched in the belly, but he hasn't, because he grabs the fucking fist when he moves his arm out. I love that scene, and that's one of the few things that still I remember. That was Android 17, wasn't it? Who did that?
I
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
the last. Yeah, I mean, it's such a long time, man. So much to remember, and I can't remember it all. But
I mean, if there was an interest for it, I'd talk about it more on this channel because
oh
I'm
god, I
still.
wish I could. I wish. Even though I did watch that shit, it never stayed with me like other stuff did. You know, like as much as I loved it, I remember coming home after school watching the latest episodes of Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it just never, it never left. I won't say a lasting impression, but I think if you had to put things on a pedestal, it was a bit lower down, if you know what I mean. But yeah. All right, we're going off on a tangent here. I do apologize. So I think we pretty much spoke about everything. The future is going to be interesting. I can't wait for episode 2. Um, I'm wanting some more exploration as well. That would be nice in some Star Trek, wouldn't it?
I want some re-exploration like that, you know, like because they're so far in the future and because the Federation's been decimated. I want them to go to planets like Beta Z and Trill and some of these other planets that are like Federation core planets. But I want to see like where they're at now. You know, like
Vulcan.
yeah, even Vulcan. Where are the Vulcans at? Like I kind of want the
No, this is not Kelvin.
No, I know it's not Kelvin, but like maybe Vulcan was decimated in the burn or something, you know, and that would be
What the fuck is the burn again?
when all the dilithium crystals
Oh yeah.
magically exploded or something.
D something. I can't remember what it is.
Destabilized.
Destabilized. Yeah.
Now, do you think by the end of the season they're going to go back?
I hope not.
I'm in the same boat. I really hope not.
So this
Either
is
that or they need to miss their mark by 180 years and wind up in a Picard timeline.
Will they ever go back?
I hope
Probably not. Probably not.
mean, maybe they'll go back for an episode. Maybe like if they make it to 100 episodes, which I doubt they will.
This is almost not only like Enterprise, but also like fucking Voyager to a degree. You know, unknown territory. Even though they are in the same territory, it's very unknown. I mean, fuck knows where they are in the universe right now, to tell you the truth. But they can't be that far because there's familiar-looking aliens around. You know, like Andorians and fucking Orions. So, and then we saw Cardassian as well. There was a Cardassian. If you blink and you miss it, there was a Cardassian there.
Was it? But did it actually look like a Cardassian from DS9, or was it different looking?
It wasn't. It wasn't like the best shot. So
Okay,
it's very
I'll
hard.
have to go back and look.
It wasn't like the good look. It wasn't like these two where you got a good fucking look at them. And I'll tell you what, that Andorian looks a lot different to the ones in Enterprise. You know, the Enterprise ones were lighter blue. I think they were lighter blue. He looks a bit like a darker blue.
Yeah, he's a bit of a darker blue, and I think they have. But I mean that's just with makeup and stuff. I mean, it's been over 15 years since Enterprise, so it's like makeup artistry and everything. You kind of
have you seen the Gorn since the 60s?
Maybe this Andorian got a nice tan. I mean, you know, compared to Shran, who, you know, was more of a light-skinned Andorian. I mean,
different part of the planet. I mean,
maybe
us compared to Zam. I mean, it's just probably something that simple that he's an Andorian just from a different part of the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zam.
Exactly. You like that picture of the back bacon I showed you?
The what?
Oh, you mean the thin sliced pork loin?
Yeah, but you saw what it was written. It was called back bacon.
Anyways.
Yes. So that was pretty much episode 1. I'm actually quite pumped for the next episode. I think having a couple of seasons under the belt has helped Discovery now, regardless of where they've ended up, whether it be the future or in the current timeline. His characters are a lot more established right now. It was good to have a Michael Burnham-centric episode where we saw her frailties, but she's still a fucking badass, and she should be a fucking badass. Not a Mary Sue, but you know, I have no problem with her being a badass. She didn't feel like a
Mary Sue in this episode at all.
And she showed vulnerability and stuff like that. But we've already seen her, and we've seen her for the first 2 seasons that she can fucking kick ass, and that was still relevant today, and I'm totally fine with that. You know, she's an ass kicker, and I'll be looking forward to. It'll be looking forward to it. We'll see, because I think when we come back to her, I think we're gonna. This is just my opinion. I think we're gonna see her, as somebody who's been in the relationship with Book for a little while. They are an item. and it's going to humanize her more than ever, in my opinion. And you might see her glowing, especially when she sees Discovery again. She's going to be fucking glowing from here to here, seeing all her friends again after God knows how long. And I hope she's waited more than a year. I want it to be a good 3-4 years. That for me would be great, because it really meant that she fucking waited, and it.
Yeah, but then they at least need to have a federation. Like, they at least need to have something started. Like, I'm not talking about like ships and stuff, but I'm talking about like there's got to be more than just the 2 or 3 of them.
No, but the point is, with a 3 or 4 year time jump, it gives her 3 or 4 years to establish something, create something without us having to fucking see it. And then also, it's pretty cool the fact that the now Discovery just come through, and they've only maybe saw Michael Burnham 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But for Michael Burnham, she hasn't seen them for 4 fucking years. You know what I mean? And so that would be pretty cool. You know, if they did something like that.
So, I mean, not to drag this on, but a question I did have during the episode was, okay, so they took Discovery into the future because the probe or whatever, the probe information is in it and it's not leaving Discovery. So they took it to the future so that the artificial intelligence wouldn't get its hands on it. But what's stopping the artificial intelligence from coming after it now?
Oh, yes.
I mean, like, it's artificial intelligence. So what if it, like, shut itself off for, like, 900 years, waited for Discovery to show up on its sensors, and then reactivates? You know what I mean? Like, how do we not get back into the same boat?
Yeah, I mean, that's putting real life logic into fictional equations. But,
I know.
Yeah, so, but yeah.
But it's just a question I kind of like answered, unless,
So,
you know.
I think originally I believe the AI was destroyed. What I believe actually happened was why the reason they took it into the future is that so that it cannot fall into the wrong hands at that time period, whereas in the future nobody knows about it. And it very well could be that there is one person that's passed it on down their generations to, you know, and that may be the spark for the whole thing, for the whole series, other than finding out what the...
Chris, what was the AI trying to obtain again for them to go into the future?
The probe data.
God, it's such a long time. It's fucking...
I know, right? It's been forever since season 2.
I still, and to this day, like my theory on the AI is that it's what actually created the Borg.
No, the Borg have been around for maybe...
Yeah, because we saw the Borg in fucking Enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, the Borg have been around for eons. Like, even before First Contact, even before, like, First Contact, like, with the Vulcans, like, not like the movie. But, like, there's been 3 versions of the Borg, according to canon. So there was the first version, and then that kind of died off. And then there was a second version, and then this current one is the 3rd version of the Borg. And if you're going to ask me for details on that, I don't have them. I just know that I read it somewhere in some kind of beta canon or alpha canon or something somewhere or the other. Yeah. But it's out there. Like, if you look it up, it's out there. So this is like the 3rd version of the Borg, you know, that's supposed to be like the perfect version or whatever. Anyway,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, 31st century Borg, pop along. Maybe they'll look like that geezer from, was it from Voyager? That Borg which melded with the holographic emitter and
one.
Was it one or Hugh? Hugh was in
no, Hugh is TNG. One is one is Voyager, where he melded with the doctor. Where he melded with the doctor's holo emitter.
The holo emitter. What century is that from? I forgot.
The 29th.
29th. Okay. So yeah, they'll look like him.
The temporal war and everything was in the 29th century. And it actually lines up because even Book said in the episode, he said that, after the temporal war, all time travel was banned. And that's actually a reference to Enterprise, but and even the temporal Cold War, like all time travel stuff was banned. So that actually was gone like 200 to 300 years prior to this.
Look, no offense, but you have temporal investigations. When the fuck was time travel ever not banned? You know what I mean? When was time travel ever encouraged? You know, it was like a lot. Sometimes, you know, like in Voyage Home, it was like a last resort. You know, to do things. It was never the first option. It was the final option. And even then, it was a hesitant option. I mean, I never assumed that. Yeah, there's time travel all the fucking time. I mean, like I said, I just found stuff like that. Now you mention it, a bit stupid, and it irks me when you have things like temporal investigations. You know what I mean? I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, when you have people that want to do good with time travel, like let's say there's historians who just go back in time and observe, that go back in time and just observe events that happen, but they can't interact. You know what I mean? Like they're out of phase and they can't interact with anything, but they're there to observe. You have those good people, and then you have bad people that are like, "Well, I'm going to go back and give Genghis Khan a phaser," like you know, like you know the. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that dude, remember, like the dude who created Microsoft and shit, he created it from Future Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, what was that Voyager episode where they went back
Voyager
to the
episode, yeah.
That's like
That's
one of my
when-
favorite.
That's when they got the hollow emitter.
But yeah, that was 29th century tech.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was able to fuck over the over Voyager from his keyboard. Oh, you're from the 24th century. Well, I have technology from the 29th century. Deep, 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 deep. Fucking stupid. I love it. I love it, but it's fucking stupid.
It's like giving like a backwater country like a fast processor and everything like that, and they're sitting there just trying to struggle through, and they're like, oh well, I can do this, and then maybe just But I know but he also had years to study that tech too. So
we're talking about a tech which is beyond his comprehension.
You are probably
comprehension. Yeah, we're talking maybe stuff that might even have melded with alien technology over the years. And you're going
in that episode, like in those episodes, I think it was multiple episodes, wasn't it? Wasn't it two?
It was two.
He says, "Oh yeah, no, I've pulled all that I can from this ship," and da 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 da. And we're sitting here talking about it's like a lot of it was probably beyond his comprehension. He probably
had more. He just didn't know it.
Oh, he probably had plenty more and just didn't know it. Like
exactly.
Propulsion. Like he probably couldn't even begin to start with propulsion.
Well, that's why they like in Transformers when they said they got the microchip from Megatron. It's like what? Stop!
Yeah, well, they copied that one probably from Terminator.
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't that in Terminator 2?
Yeah.
They reverse engineered the Terminator tech.
But they a couple of remnants was remained obviously beyond, which is a very clever way of doing it, as well as maybe some microchip from the crushed body, which they would have probably used as well. Whatever they could scrap out of that.
Skynet.
Exactly.
So, real quick, I wanted to touch back on something where you guys were talking about like the shields and the Discovery not being obliterated and stuff from the after episode trailers for the coming season. Shields never really have changed once they've come into play.
But weapons have.
Weapons have, yes, but shields have not.
So the stronger the weapon, the weaker the shields are, basically.
Not necessarily, because shields are just like transporters. It's a matter of power. The more power you have, the better you're able to reinforce the shields. It's every genre, even Star Trek. Like it's just power is the main thing. If you can pump more power into it, you're going to have more stability out of it.
And I'm sure with 32nd century tech, they can pump more power into their shield. So, but I mean, that's what I'm talking about is like their weapons are probably more advanced and more powerful. So why aren't their weapons? I mean, Discovery can't pump enough energy through their shield generators to fend off 32nd century weapons. I feel like that's an impossibility.
I
My girlfriend's over here
I
dying.
don't know. I don't know. Like I'm gonna because they did crash. So I mean, how much of their components have been replaced with components from this century?
Well,
That's
maybe.
that's where I'm kind of looking at. Like,
But
how much did they
I think-
repair from the new century?
No, I think that scene takes place before the crash. I think that's why they crash, is because they're in a battle and they lose. But I'm
That's
still like,
possible.
I saw their weapons like hitting their shields, and I'm like, why is it not just cutting through their shields like it's nothing? Like that's, I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just, it's like Zam says, I'm using a logical argument for a fictional equation.
Yeah, so it's okay.
That's the new
Yeah,
podcast name: Logical Arguments for Fictional Equations.
I'll tell you what. So sometimes, when films and stuff go this route, it does make you question it sometimes. And the only time you don't question it is if you're having a good time. And
Or
even if
watching
you are
Star
having,
Wars, because nobody can make sense out of that garbage.
look, even if you do, even when you do question it, it doesn't mean that you're not enjoying yourself. Like I always question that scene where in Iron Man where he escapes the fucking when he escapes the fucking cave and then he shoots himself up like a rocket in the Mark One, and then like he's gone that high, and then he crashes. You should be dead, mate. You should be fucking bits and pieces all over that sand.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
All those components should have had body parts associated.
So like, but I thoroughly enjoyed Iron Man, but that scene still takes me out of it because I think to myself, mate, that's just fucking ridiculous. It's not even titanium alloy and shit. It's parts of a fucking missile that you fucking converted into an Iron Man suit. So those things are supposed to be destroyed. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. I do apologize. So anything more to say, fellas?
I'm excited for the rest of the season. That's all I got to say.
But
if they let me down, I'm really going to be let down hard.
Oh, by the way, just to quickly go on a little sidetrack here. There was rumors of Kate Mulgrew reprising a role as Catherine Janeway. Have you guys got any news on that at all?
Just that somebody said that it was going to be for Prodigy, which I
said that
I haven't looked into it.
I heard about that from a massive Trekkie YouTuber. They were talking about that. She'll be in cartoon form then.
Oh, good.
Which will be interesting.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind her showing up on Lower Decks. I mean, like that's
she's going to be on Picard.
The only thing I've heard is that she's going to be in a role on Picard. Because I've seen my brother posted about possibly a Janeway series. I haven't heard anything about that, and I'm usually pretty into the stuff popping up like that.
Well, and that's why I just put it up there as a rumor, because I'm like, rumors like when it's rumors like that, I don't post the link because I don't want people clicking on it, but I want it to start a discussion. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm like, this is confirmed.
Yeah, like I personally would like to see a show not necessarily focused on one of the ex-captains, but maybe another officer, like maybe a Star Trek show is Captain Geordie LaForge at the helm.
I would. And he sits there every week and he reads to us.
Or even maybe something a bit more grounded, like Tom Paris and his dad and their shit. Now they're back on Earth. I don't know. But maybe something focused on him. Why not? I wouldn't mind.
I want a Captain Kim. Captain Kim.
Yeah, even Captain Kim. I'm totally fine with that.
Finally gets promoted.
Yeah, right. He it's been like 19 years, and he's like, "Congratulations, Lieutenant."
What?
He finally gets promoted to lieutenant after 19 years.
But any of those, like maybe like those non leading characters, it would be nice to maybe see a show based around one of them.
What about Captain LaForge and his first officer, Commander Kim?
Nah.
Come on! That was an amazing series.
Kim should be captain by now.
LaForge, it would take place like in Picard time. Like, so because you're talking about Captain Laforge, then Kim should be probably a commander because Kim.
It's been 25 years since he jetted off on the Voyager, and for 7 years on the Voyager alone, he should have shot up to Lieutenant Commander at least.
Admiral Laforge, because Laforge should be an admiral by now. Then, by that logic,
no. And when you retire, you become an admiral, I believe. Maybe it's more of a retirement position. No,
Admiral's still enrolled, but you never lose your admiral status.
He was a baby out of Starfleet Academy at the beginning of Voyager.
I just feel that Harry Kim, after 25 years from Voyager, will be on the cusp of at least being a captain. So to bog him down initially as a first officer, I'm not feeling that.
Or season 1, you have Captain Laforge and Commander Kim. And then Laforge dies at the end of season 1.
No, too early. You can't have him die at season 1.
What?
Maybe season 3.
Well, you know what? He needs to read me some stories on the bridge. Butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high.
Well, look, the point is it'll be nice to see see shows on those particular characters. Maybe even have one where maybe the captain isn't a fucking human. Like maybe have one where Tuvok is the captain of a show. Having a Vulcan captain would be pretty cool to lead a show, in my opinion. That's the only thing they haven't done now.
And I feel like Tuvok would be an admiral. So you could have Admiral Tuvok on the show, as a reoccurring character, maybe, kind of like Admiral Ross on DS9.
No, but I do believe that the next show, in the future, after Discovery is cancelled or they retire,
I'm gonna look up the ages of commanders when they become like Riker and when Cisco became captain. I want to look up their ages and see what the age of the Harry Kim character would be by Picard timeline.
Well, I believe we have someone like James Kirk, who was probably about 21 years old when he fucking became captain.
That's a Kelvin timeline bullshit.
He became captain within 3 fucking deaths. It's like, all right, he's dead. I guess you have to be captain then. Like, there's nobody else who's capable of doing it. Even McCoy was more qualified to be fucking captain than he was, for fuck's sake. And he's a fucking doctor. Damn it, Jim.
And as I said, you're not. Maybe Kim had been commander for a while. I'm not saying he has to be like a fresh commander. But maybe he's you're right. Maybe he's on the cusp of becoming captain, but maybe that can happen within the entire within the series in the first couple years. Maybe people will get bored of Kim like everybody else did on.
But the point is, if they do something like this, it'll be nice to just go to a back to basic Star Trek, how it was with TNG, and to a degree, Voyager was very similar to TNG, other side of the universe and shit like that. But they followed a similar path as well as the original series, and that was the problem with Enterprise, in my opinion. There was not enough exploration and too much fucking conflict all the fucking time. Conflict there.
Hold on. But see, the thing about Enterprise is in that time frame, that's what was happening.
That's how they began.
The Romulan War was on the galaxy was on the Alpha and Beta Quadrant was on the cusp of the Romulan War when Enterprise was happening. That's why they started the series when they did, was because they were literally a couple years before the Romulan Federation War, but the Federation was formed after the Romulan War. So that's
interesting.
That's why a lot of that happened there. And I mean, technically, the second NX ship was built in season 4, which in truth,
so many things can be retconned as well, Bob. Like for instance, one of the things that irked me is in TNG when Scotty was on that episode where he guest starred and he goes to the holodeck and he goes, I want to go on the Enterprise, and then the holodeck goes, which one? He goes, the first one. Well, that technically isn't the fucking first one, is it? The first one is Jonathan Archer's, not Scotty's. So things like things like I said, things can be fucking retconned. They could have done a little bit of exploration 10 years prior to the Romulan War. Just some exploration.
They did 2 years worth of exploration.
Yeah, but it was immediate.
But people didn't care for it. The ratings tanked. They
No,
were
but it,
trying
it
to-
began it began with conflict with the invasion on Earth by that fucking giant laser. You know what I mean?
No, that was in season 3.
No, that was season 1, episode, the pilot episode of
No,
Enterprise.
No, it wasn't.
What the pilot episode of Enterprise?
The
That
Klingon.
giant laser,
That's
the bow,
satellite.
Yeah, that was
That's-
season 3, dude.
Hold
They
on,
did
no,
that
no.
when people were saying Enterprise was too boring.
They're like,
And-
okay, we'll show you boring.
And
Hold on,
so
hold on.
yeah,
Wipe out.
then they serialized it and said, fuck
No,
off.
sorry, I apologize. Not the laser. The fucking Klingon. I'm mistaking the laser for the Klingon. The Klingon, yeah. The Klingon that lands.
They have ridges, I guess.
I apologize. You know why I'm mistaking one for the other. I have my reasons. Okay.
Why?
You know what it is. You know.
I really don't.
Yes,
but
you
okay.
do. Yes, you do. Anyway, the point is, sorry. What I'm basically trying to say is that I just felt that the pilot episode started with conflict, not exploration, and I just wish it started with exploration, and I want to see a bit more exploration. So if they did a show like this with Laforge and Kim as captain and first officer, just go back to how it was and just give us 7 years of maybe that, and people would appreciate that shit.
So then I have a question. Like, what? Since we should do a whole other video on this. Like
Honestly, yeah, we're really delving
I do
into
want to
something
bring
that's
up
not
the
even-
whole Laforge and Kim series again. I think it'd be
Yeah.
great. I really do.
Yeah.
I honestly believe it would be great. I want like Kim to have like one eye, like have him be like his Starfleet.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I like.
his Starfleet career after he got back from Voyager was like he just got one thing after another happened to him. It's like he had like nothing for 7 years, and then like the rest of his career was just garbage.
I just I still want him to be. I mean, I want them to like when you see him like he's. I want him to be a lot more what's the word? Confident.
Oh yeah,
Like way more confident.
he's got to step over some chairs, like Riker.
Yeah, I guess maybe get stabbed in the heart like Picard.
Or
Yeah,
have
the
one
fact-
eye.
The fact is that you can see that he's come out of his shell since the pilot episode of Voyager. So yeah.
There was the
And
episode-
I really, by the way, I really want to apologize about that laser thing. I really went on one there. I do apologize. That was really silly of me. Yeah, the Klingon. I mistook a
The laser
for a
with the
Klingon.
ridges. Got it.
Yeah, look, there's so many fucking episodes. It can get confusing, and I don't even remember everything nowadays anyway. So only the good stuff. So, all right, let's wrap it up. It's been really good fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this debate. Thank you very much, Cousin Cheeto, Boogeyman. I look forward to the next time we come online together. Don't forget to follow us on Nerd Nation on YouTube, Facebook, as well as our Discord. Nerd Nation on Discord. Everything is on the links below, I believe.
Yep.
Correct? Yep.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah. If it's not there now, it'll be there soon.
It will definitely be there. It'll hopefully be there by the time this fucking video is uploaded onto YouTube. So thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.